nice class of crossbred steers here, and the smoky steer that's going to win the class. I guess those of you sitting around ringside, I mean, it's obvious that one's the show steer of the group. I mean, he's so neat necked and so out there in terms of length and extension out through his front 1/3 and ties in really neat. His chest and his shoulder, and he's big topped and really square hip. I really like this one's hind leg. I mean, it's built really neat in terms of the hind leg design and how he gets down to his foot and pastern. He's nice and soft in his rear pastern. Calf just gives you a really nice look from the side. There's some things I'd change about him in terms of his front feet, but that one's really nice and neat and certainly a logical class winner. Young lady steer coming next, the red steer. Again, she's doing a great job of getting that one shown. Calf's just really practical in terms of his type and kind. He's pretty well balanced from the side. Just gives you a great fat steer look in terms of market readiness and condition and cover. Calf is sound in the structure. Just a really basic practical kind of steer. Second steer coming next. A lot like the one in second. Really practical in terms of its design. Just like to see him have a little more angulation, slope to his shoulder, and give him a little more curvature at the hind leg and let him get out and go a little sounder when you put him into motion. The calf has got enough shape and product to him. It's going to hang a nice carcass when he's on the rail. Just like to see him be a little sounder in terms of structure compared to the two above him. Steer coming next. A little plainer in his look. He's a little shorter and more compact in his spine and his hip. He gets a little straighter in terms of his shoulder angle. But a calf that when you get your hands on him, he's chock full of muscle and meat. He's got a really nice smooth condition on him. Really well fed steer. Just in a little. You'd just like to see him in a little neater package in terms of style and eye appeal and balance. And a steer that rounds out the class. One that you analyze him from a balance standpoint, he's really nice and level out through his hip. He's tremendously long spine. Just like to see him pull apart more in his center rib cage and drop down on his flank to balance him up a little more as you compare him to the steers above him. A nice competitive class of crossbred steers.
Placings in class 34. First, Maria Hunting. Second, Emily Grossman. Third, Sammy Schreiber. Fourth, Colin Grossman. And fifth, Mackenzie and Bruce. Bring in class 35 crossbred steers, weighing 1339 to 1458. evening. One of the other ways that you can show your support for these 4-H members and specifically the beef project is to be here for the livestock auction.
Nice class of crossbred steers, and I think the one that wins does so from just a market standpoint. He's just chock full of meat and muscle, and he's so big backed and really square and pulled apart in his hip. You like the amount of condition that he's got on him. You get your hands on him. He's really firm and covered really nice. Just a nice market steer to win the class. And when you get him out here, he's got a nice show steer look to him. It's a nice place to start here in this class of crossbred steers. Steer coming next, kind of what you see is what you get. See the most of anything? No. He's really neat and attractive from the side. He's not the stoutest calf in the class, but he's certainly adequate for me. He's really well balanced. He's really sound in terms of the structure. And I really like him in terms of his forehead and how he blends into his rib cage. He's got a big bold rib cage in him, ties nice into a big top, and that's probably where he excels. The steer coming next. The steer gets a little flatter and piecier behind his shoulders. He wants to break behind these shoulders in these top line, and that's where I'd like to change this calf. The red steer going out, he's really nice in the side, he's really attractive. He handles adequately in terms of his condition. Just like to see him have a shot more muscle, and you get to tie him in a little neater there in behind his shoulders. Yellow steer coming next. Calf with tremendously long spine and long body. Just a tremendous amount of product in this calf. Just like to balance him up a little bit better, drop him down in his flank, square him up out where he's hit. But a nice steer coming out there, and then the steer that rounds out the class. Calf that's really practical in terms of his type of kind. He's very easy feeding, really a soft middle, soft mane kind of steer. Just like to see him get out and go a little freer and easier to anything higher in class and get a nice class of crossbred steers.
Placing on class 35 steers. First, Ginger Swisher. Second, Ross Pearson. Third, Braden Crow. Fourth, James Gardner. Fifth, Lucas Mills. We'll now select our champion crossbred steer. After selecting the champion and reserve champion crossbred steers, we'll take a 5-minute break.
let's get ready to finish up your crossbred steers. I think it's certainly a nice representation of the quality that we've seen in the crossbred steers in the 3 classes. I think, start with the lightweight steer down there is he the most muscular, heavy muscle, most robust steer you're ever going to see? No, but I think in terms of practicality and type and kind and balance and eye appeal, that one certainly had to win that lightweight class. That calf's got a lot of future in him. Calf that's, when he gets to 13 and a half, I mean, he's going to have a really nice carcass on a rail and do it in a nice, efficient, practical type manner. Then you get into the next 2 steers that are certainly, market ready, and they're ready to go, and they've got that show ring look to them and a wow factor to them, and they're both, neat to look at from the side. I mean, they're both really attractive. They're both, big top, thick-ended steers that are, really square in terms of their hip and just, got a neat show steer look to them. And they're both, when you get your hands on them, they're both finished, for me, very uniform, very nice in terms of their condition. I guess for me, there's some differences, in these 2 steers in terms of structure and how they get around the ring. And I guess for me, that's what's going to sort these 2 crossbred steers out. It just comes down to a little bit of structural integrity and how they get around the ring and flex and move. And for me, the Mousy steer is going to end up being your champion crossbred steer. Congratulations.
Champion crossbred steer is shown by Ginger Slasher. Excuse me, Maria Hunting. That's twice I've overlooked you today, isn't it? That steer will also be the county born crossbred champion. We need Ross Pearson's. We need Emily Grossman's 2nd place on class 34.
We bring that 2nd place steer back in. I like to comment in the class. I mean, that steer is just a nice, practical, kind of easy feeding steer that that does it in a very functional manner. Just doesn't have that show ring look and wow factor to him that some of these others have out here. But I do want to comment that young girl's done a fantastic job of showing her 2 animals. I mean, had a rough start in the showmanship, but what she's won has been very enjoyable to work with out here today in this show, and I commend her for that. She's done a fantastic job. That being said, there's another one out here that fits the bill to be a reserve crossbred steer. That's going to be the young lady Flax steer. Let's give her a good round of applause for a really nice crossbred steer.
And that is Ginger Slasher with the reserve crossbred steer. We will start the grand drive in 5 minutes.
Jimmy, she's a lot better looking than you are. I see yours has got 2 legs on there now instead of 1.5. I thought maybe she got rid of it. She's a little hard-headed. Just a little. I think after a month.
Hello, I'm Mark Kepler with Purdue University Extension Service, and we're out here this day, on a beautiful day, taking a look at some beef animals. Fulton County Fair is an opportunity for us to see a lot of animals get exhibited, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about what we're looking for in the beef animals. And I got with me my intern for the summer, Alyssa Kuhn. Alyssa is a Purdue University student, and she's been working with us. Alyssa, tell a little bit about your background as far as beef production goes, and 4-H too.
I was a 10-year 4-H member, and I showed beef cattle for 10 years also. I come from a small farm that has a Simmental herd, which is what you're looking at behind us. And
been on 4-H for how many years?
10 years.
You were in for 10 years. You're now out of it.
Yes.
So we're going to take a look at this animal, and what I'm trying to put together today is the fact there's the show aspect of animals and what that means to the industry of the beef cattle industry. So you mentioned the word Simmental. What is that?
Simmental is a breed of beef cattle.
Okay, and there are a lot of other kind of breeds of
Right.
beef cattle. Everybody's heard of Angus. They promote Angus quite a bit,
Right.
and there's a tremendous amount of information about Angus also. Have you ever done anything other than Simmentals in your program?
Not at this farm. We have Simmentals and Sim Solutions, which are crosses between Simmentals and something else.
Okay, so those are the kind of breeds. So when we go to the fair, let's start with that. There will be different shows. There will be the Angus show, there will be the Simmental show, there may be the Maine Anjou show. Various different breeds will show. There will be crossbreds. That's those breeds combined together. And then besides that, we're going to have other breeds that'll be in there, a variety of different breeds. And each breed has their own characteristics associated with them. Each breed was brought up in a different part of the world, too, is where they come from. So the animal standing behind us is a Simmental what?
Heifer.
Heifer. What is the difference between a heifer and a cow? Aren't they all cows?
A heifer is a female that has not had a baby yet, and a cow has had a baby.
Okay, so that little definition. What's a steer then?
A steer is a castrated male.
Okay, versus a bull,
Which is
that's
not castrated.
fully intact. And we
Right.
don't show bulls because bulls get a little mean sometimes. So we'll get into that aspect. So we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at this Simmental heifer. And she will be looked at as a heifer, not a steer. And there's a little difference there, what we're going to look at. So if I was going to judge this animal, if I was the judge, and by the way, this is your sister Olivia back here holding this animal for us. So we'll introduce her at this point. If I was to judge this animal, what would I be looking for as far as judging goes?
Judging, you're looking for
Let's go over here and take a look.
a lot of different things. The body structure, soundness, ability to move, and it all comes back to what her ability will be to carry a calf once she gets to that point of her life.
Okay, soundness means feet and legs.
Right.
A lot of this goes into feet and legs. It's because we're going to keep this cow potentially as a cow once it has its calves for 10, 12, 14 years or so.
Right.
In order to have that, we got to have this leg structure that we need to keep this thing going. So tell us about the leg structure. What are we looking for in that leg structure?
One thing you're looking for is set to the hock. So back here, you don't want them to be too curved, and you don't want them to be straight down like a post either.
And the hock is?
The hock is right here.
Okay, right in that area. And so you want that leg that's not straight like a post. You want a little bit of curve. How about if I get a little bit further under, if I got a lot of curve to it?
You don't want too much curve either, because then they're not walking properly and their joints are under a lot of pressure. So you don't want too much.
So we want this animal to walk to the back of the farm, graze, come up and get a drink. Its whole life will be walking, 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 and grazing and walking and going back and forth. Maybe slipping on a little bit of ice, that kind of stuff going on. That's why the feet and legs are really, really important. How about the front end? Is there anything we're looking for there?
Front, you want them to be set fairly wide. You don't want her to be too close together, and you want them to be pretty straight. You don't want her to be bowed out or anything.
Okay, now as I look at that hoof, we got a hoof that's slightly like this. If it was more like this, what would end up happening to that animal?
That's not a good thing.
Okay, so as it gets older,
It'll get worse.
It'll get worse and worse.
Right.
And instead of having those dew claws, those little things sticking out the back, up off the ground, they'll be hitting the ground. And so really think about that. That don't feel too comfortable,
Right.
I don't think at all. You mentioned the width. What's the width, tell me, between the feet?
A wider chest floor, which would be up here.
Okay.
And that means that they have a bigger bone structure, bigger body structure in general, which the bigger the better when it comes to being a female cow.
Okay, so that width that we're looking at of the animal in general tells us that there's a tremendous amount of meat
Right.
in that animal. Well, how about up and down here? Anything we're looking at that way?
From there, you want them to have a good depth of heart, which is from the top down to here. You want them to have as big a body capacity as possible, which means you want good rib shape around. You also want them to have a good length of body. You don't want them to be too short and tight together.
So Alyssa, we've got a side view of this animal now. And so from the side, what are the things we're looking at? How about the depth of the length? What do we need to have on this animal?
You want her to have a level top line, which says that she has good muscle abilities to hold everything together. You want her to, I don't know, what else you're looking for?
We want to have that length that's in there.
Right.
That we're talking about with that too. And that loin eye, that's that loin that's in there. The bigger, the better.
Right.
In those situations. And so, in other words, we're in the business of producing beef and we're in the business of producing meat. And so that'll end up having that in there. So that's where we want to have. So we got the length, we got the width. We want her fat.
No.
Okay, how do we
Not.
tell that fat? If it's something is really fat, maybe too fat.
If something is really fat, you won't be able to see any of these bones back here.
Okay.
You don't want them protruding too much, but you don't want them to be completely hidden either, because that
Okay.
means that they're too fat.
Okay, so we got that. Another indicator of fat sometimes, let's go to the front end of this animal and let's walk around here. And you'll look at also an area.
Our witnessing there is Alexa Law. Our champion market heifer is Abby Harsh. Our gelding steer is Mackenzie Embry. Our main Anju representative is Ross Pearson. Our Salier is Krista Gardner. Our shorthorn steer is Ginger Swisher. Our Simmental steer is Luke Hunting. Our crossbred steer is Maria Hunting.
Let's, first and foremost, let's put your hands together for a really great set of steers that you're going to the show today. You know, as we went through the day, I've tried to keep them, similar, a similar type and kind, a similar theme. I want them to sound structured for me first and foremost, and then I want them, to be a carcass steer and have, those carcass attributes. You be big topped, have enough condition and enough, finish on them to hang a good carcass on the rail. And I want them to have some shape and turn and width the base when you get around behind them. And I also want them to have a show steer look. I mean, this is a show ring, so I want them to look like show steers. I want them to have some style and some look to them. When you look at them from the side. And I think if you were with us throughout the day and looked at each breed the way I did and went through them, I think that's what we've got out here. As you went through each breed, I mean, these are the ones to me that rose to the top, and I'm very pleased with the ones that we got out here. That's me growing up. We always showed heifers. That's what I like to do, and breed them and make those decisions and try and raise steers or Angus cattle or Hereford cattle now and try to make the best ones. And we've been fortunate enough to show some pretty decent ones and raise some good Herefords and raise a reserve grand steer at Fort Worth. So I've had a vast array, I guess, of cattle that we've tried to produce, and I just like raising and selecting good ones. And that's what it doesn't matter whether it's a steer or a heifer or what breed it is. I just like good cattle, and I like them to be sound, functional cattle. And that's what I try to pick when I go judge shows. I try and look at them like I would be picking one to show, or I would be picking one to take home and breed, or however. That's how I look at it. I didn't go to college. I just stayed home and worked on the farm, so I won't baffle you with, I won't give you a good line of JUCO jargon in my reasons. I'll just, call them as I see them. And that's how I go about it when I select the cattle and talk and describe them. So, I do want to give my hat on, or tip my hat to the kids and the families. It's been a fantastic show. With the showmanship, I was blown away. It was great. Did a fantastic job. It was way deeper and better than I expected. And same way with the heifers, and especially here in the steer show, it's been fantastic. There's no trouble finding a top 5 in anything. So my hat's off to the tippers and families and everybody getting these calves ready. It's been fantastic and very enjoyable for me. So I like coming to shows and being able to pick good cattle and have a crowd that is into it and paying attention and cheering or clapping when their kid or whoever wins or does whatever. It's nice to be involved or to be here and judge with a crowd that's involved, and it's been a very enjoyable day. So my hat's off to you all around ringside. I know each and every one of you have got your own favorites out there. I've got my top 5 selected. So with that, I'll show you which ones they are. Let's give them a great round of applause again. I'll run through the top 5.
second place crossbred. Maria Steer will also be our county-born champion. Scales is selected for number 3. And Grant Nelson's reserve Chevrolet. Swisher was selected for 4. I need a reserve crossbred. Now. Is number 5 and the reserve county born. These steers are excused. For your breed, please come up to the announcer stand at this time.
We'll go ahead and hand out our Ray Dean trophies to our winners here. All the steers are getting dismissed, and give our Master Showmanship participants just a chance here to get ready. So if all you guys can come up real quick, we'll hand out some trophies. And we're going to need to wait until after showmanship for pictures, you guys. After Master Showmanship for pictures. Okay, for Ray Gain. Come on up, you guys. For Angus, we have Caleb Gardner with a 4.01 average daily gain. Caleb, stay here. Dairy Steers, Caleb Gardner with a 4.13 daily gain. Key steer, Zane Young with a 2.98. Main Andrew, Ross Pearson with a 2.24. Full Hereford, Lauren Gardner with a 3.08. Salier steer, Kirsten Gardner with a 2.99. Simmental, Kirsten Gardner with a 3.56. Crossbred, Mackenzie Embry with a 3.37. Charlotte, Isabel Scales with a 2.39. Shorthorn, Ginger Swisher with a 2.47. Okay. Gilby steer, Mackenzie Embry with a 3.45. Limousine, Alexa Lau with a 3.04. And Market Heifer, Eddie Harsh with a 2.06. Let's give all these kids a round of applause. They did a good job feeding these steers. Okay, I think we're down to our master showmanship.
See you later, folks. Got kids tomorrow?